Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to look at the oil and natural gas technical analysis, do our dailies on it, and I'll let you know what I see. And what I see behind me is light sweet crude, and we had a massive reversal today. I mean, we went all the way up to like 95 bucks or so, and we ended at $90. That's a pretty strong reversal. There's a lot of resistance with this line here, and what I'm going to say is, may the resistance be with you. Yeah, the resistance. We're fighting the resistance. And we could see a little bit of a pullback here. We could even pull back to like 84, 85 if the sellers want to take us there. There is no big reversal candlestick up here. So it's a lot of news, a lot of volatility. I don't really do too much around this, but you know what? I did buy a company. I will say that. And I'll tell you which one I bought. Natural gas, looking at natural gas, far higher today, 6.83%. It used this support area to bounce off of. I put the support line here. I took the tops of it, but you can use it underneath it as well because we've got a lot of buying and selling pressure all through there. Having things hit the exact point is it's not a big deal. It's wherever those buyers are at. And the line, just because you draw it in some spot, doesn't mean that that is the ultimate line that has to hold. It's just saying that this general vicinity is a support area or resistance area. XOP, we're right at that resistance support area. We're just chopping sideways. What I look at are the lows. You see these lows here? See how they're continuing to hold? God, I drew that horribly, guys. See how this is continuing to hold here? So we're just kind of bouncing back and forth between this resistance line and support line back and forth. And I suspect that this is going to break to the upside at some point. And I don't know how far down we're going to go because we got a whole bunch of support resistance all through this area here. So I don't think we're going to get this big pullback that everyone thinks, but it's possible. It's still possible. SM Energy finished a small update today. We're still within this monster pattern. If they release good news and earnings, I think it's 224, 225, something in that range is what I can remember. I'm hoping that they release good news and we can blow this to the upside. Hopefully. CDEV is another one. It's still inside this pattern. I would be a buyer if you don't own CDEV. I already own a lot of SM and CDEV. They're my two largest, my two largest positions are these two. And this looks like it's trying to break out of it. And the down days are much smaller than these big, powerful up days. So I suspect that we eventually work our way higher, so long that oil can bring us goes up. If we have a little bit, I think oil is going to go up. I mean, these patterns are all forming for a reason in all these in all these oil producers. I think we are going to end up higher. I did buy Crew Energy today. I sprinkled some in, so I got some in here. I got some in here. This is another one that's one of my favorite. It's also, I think it's my third largest position. Is Crew Energy. I bought this one very low, and it's gotten quite large. I am continuing to add into it in other accounts that I didn't have exposure to it. And I still think it looks pretty good for a move higher. CPE moving sideways. Today was a little bit of a down day. This could pull back. This is a bearish engulfing pattern. We had good resistance coming here where we kind of kicked out to the downside. Big bullish engulfing here. Another bullish engulfing there. It's the buyers and sellers are slapping each other around right at this resistance line. Athabasca Oil, nice strong move today. It has a little wick at the top. I like this setup here, guys. It's broken through its resistance line. Now it is support. So we've got support right underneath it. I think it looks good. Recaf moving on up a little bit, 0.61%. Recaf, I think, is going to try to go into production later. I don't think they'll do it in 2022, but probably 2023 at some point. I'd have to look at their things again and see what their joint venture and what it says, because I forget the dates on some of this stuff. But I like this. It's right at support. I would be a buyer here for the long term. Hopefully it holds and we can get moving higher. Northern Oil and Gas, a little bit of a down day. It looks like we've got some kind of, I would say it's support resistance all through here. I could almost draw it like this too, because it looks like we got a lot of hits through here. And eventually I think we'll break. You can see these lows here, low, low, low. It's coming on up, and we're stepping up into this. And you can draw a line like this if you want. It doesn't really matter. And I think we'll see a big break at some point. And then it's party time, because this will be a fun one to ride. And some of these, if you draw like lines across, like the big picture view lines, kind of where this green line is, we've got resistance all through here. And once we break through this, I think it'll be like dropping a piano off our back, and we can run without all this resistance that we have to break through. CPG is looking quite strong because oil's down 2%, Crescent Point's up 1%. Very volatile day today. Crescent Point is one that I added into, and it's doing the same thing as everything else. It's got resistance right here, and it's ready to break to the upside. It's got a massive inverted head and shoulders pattern. It's going to break, and it's going to make people happy. That's what I think. GTE breaking out to the upside here. That's a big picture view. We're continuing to move higher, getting a little bit of resistance here. We've had quite a bit of run from 82 cents to $1.30 quite quickly. So that's one. Again, guys, I don't. The way that I make money is I don't care. Like, just let it go. Let it make you money. This is a big pattern here. If I were to throw a fib base extension on this, if I were to run it to the top there, run it back, a 1.618 move is at least to 220. And what that's going to do is just set up another pattern most likely, and it just stair steps higher. Let these things go. Like, do not get impatient. That's a wrong move. Just be patient and ride these things higher. The patterns are all ridiculously good. And Tellurian's got this big downtrend line. We break this downtrend line. We tried breaking it there. We came on back. Down here is not a bad spot to be looking at it, because when this thing breaks, this big pattern here that I've got, it's a monster pattern. Once this thing breaks, we're going to get a big move up, and maybe we can start trying to run to $10 or $20 a share. We need liquefied natural gas, and if we can break the 20 mark, oh my goodness. I know that seems like a long ways away, but if you break that, you're going to get this big breakout move to maybe like $100. If it were to do that, and it's going to take a lot of time. I'm not saying we're going straight there. Do not misconstrue what I'm saying. What I am saying is eventually, if you've got lots of patience, and you can put a little bit of money in, ride it on up and let it go. We are in very good market conditions. Podevco getting a little bit of a small little wick here. If you look at this from a non-logarithmic perspective, back out, we've been bouncing on this trend line higher, so it's higher lows coming up, a little bit of lower highs, which is a pattern which can be quite explosive. I'll just kind of draw it like this as a big long-term one. But we break up, I mean, this will be a fun one to ride. So it's got a little bit of a ways to go. Now, Oasis does look like it could pull back here, almost like a shoulder head, and then maybe a shoulder develops. This does have a bearish engulfing pattern. This could head lower for Oasis Petroleum, the way it looks. Comstock Resources, we're right at that buy zone down there with a good support underneath it, so that looks good. Sandridge Energy just chopping sideways. Ring Energy chopping sideways. We've broken to the upside, still looks all right. Surge Energy moving on up. If you look at this from a long-term perspective, we get some of this stuff out of there. We're coming up on this kind of resistance area here. We're trying to break to the upside. I'll put it in a logarithmic real quick. And then we've got this nice little pattern that we're trying to break to the upside there. We break out of this, it's a big old break. Probably going to be pretty fun to ride. Tamarack Valley Energy, a little bit of a sideways day today. OIH is continuing to be strong. We do have that reversal in oil. It did show up a little bit in the reversal of OIH with the wick at the top. So this thing, it does still look good though, to move on higher. We might get a little bit of sideways action before moving higher. TTI's got the wick at the top too. Riggs got that wick at the top. So we did come into some selling pressure towards the end of the day. We're right at the support line. I like Transocean for a big long-term perspective. This one looks good to ride higher. Um, pump up, getting pumped up. A little bit of selling pressure today. We had a little bit of a run just because that reversal in oil. EXTN's been moving sideways a little bit up. Valaris up 1.6%. VAL, a little bit of wick at the top. What does that mean? It means we could pull back a little bit. But the buyers seem to be entering these stocks. MRM's getting a little bit of a pullback. That's we've had a massive run in it. And this is a big pattern, guys. This thing looks absolutely fantastic from a long-term perspective. I like it a lot. Tidewater's another one I like from a long-term perspective. It's just chopping sideways. CHX chopping sideways. WHD getting a little bit of a sell-off, a little bloody nose there. It is a big bullish engulfing right behind it. We'll see what happens tomorrow. OII still in its pattern. We'll see if we're going to break to the upside. The sellers did not bring this lower, so we'll see. NE is Noble is trying to break to the upside here on this big long-term pattern. Well, somewhat long, medium-term pattern. If we break that and close above it, that'd be a nice strong one. Helix Energy Solutions breaking to the upside of its trend line here. This is a company I've owned since like $3. I just kind of threw money in it, and I'm just riding it higher. CGGYY is another one I own. I got it down at this tip here, and I'm riding it on higher. So that one also looks incredibly good from a long-term perspective and how this is putting in this nice long bottom here. So that's what I see for the entire sector, guys. We could see a little bit of selling. We could. We had a nice sharp reversal today, and usually that momentum coming to the downside needs to dissipate and turn before we head higher. So I would look to see what happens, end of this week. See where we go. Again, guys, I'm really patient with this stuff. I've been in it which is now almost 2 years in some of this stuff. It feels like I haven't really been holding it that long. But I'm just going to continue to hold onto my shares. I recently purchased the energy service companies. I let everybody on the channel know that already. I continue to add in small amounts of money in certain accounts to gain exposure to certain things. And I do think this is a good sector. I don't know if I'd be piling in at this second. I'd like to see where we go first. The fundamentals look absolutely excellent, though. Inventories are low. The summer's coming up. So spring is coming up first and then summer. And I think I want to see what inventory does for oil this summer. I think driving season I think more people are going to start flying. I think the virus is going to be, it usually is pretty tame in warm weather. So I think we got a great setup here. So I'm holding on. I would be holding on. That's what I'd be doing. If you guys like the content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.